Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'll be showing you how I made this foam Kamino Saberdart and turned it into solid aluminum. I first cut out 3 fins using my CNC router. I then used my lathe to create the cylindrical center of the dart. After cutting all of the pieces, I then glued them all together. Once glued, I let it set for about a day or two. Then I coated it with a thin layer of wall plaster that is mixed with water. This is just your regular drywall joint compound found at any hardware store. I mix it with water to give it a thinner solution. It allows it to flow easily inside of the cracks that is in the Saberdart. Because this is foam and very fragile, when in the lathe, the tip of it broke, so I had to glue on a new tip after I made it. In order to melt my aluminum, I'm going to use the Castmaster Light electric furnace. The weather outside isn't very cooperative, so I am forced to do this inside my garage. Once you load the aluminum into the machine, then just turn the power on and wait for it to come up to temperature. Today I'll be using a metal casting technique called the lost foam casting method. I do this method all the time. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, definitely check them out. This is super simple. All you have to do is put a base down of dry sand on the bottom of the container, put your piece in, which I'm using the Saberdarts, and then fill it up to the top with sand. I want to emphasize this has to be extremely dry sand. This cannot be any sand that has any moisture in it whatsoever. Once you have it filled all the way to the top, brush away the sand out of the way of the foam so you can access that foam, and then put a pouring cup right on top. In the beginning, I only put in 1 piece of aluminum. The reason for that is I wanted a puddle of molten aluminum on the bottom of the crucible. So then later, like right now, I can add more into the crucible and it will melt much faster. When the metal is molten and hot enough, it's time to pour. When pouring molten aluminum onto the foam, it vaporizes the foam and takes its shape. As it's vaporizing the foam and flowing downward, it is not allowing the sand on the outside to fill in behind it. If you look closely, you can see the aluminum sinking, and this is how you know it's vaporizing that foam and taking its shape. While I wait for that to harden up, I just wanted to go outside and show you why I'm inside the garage today melting metal. And let me take this second to show you guys some of my other videos that I've made in the past that I think you would enjoy. So after this video, definitely head over to my videos and check those out. After setting about 15 minutes, it's now time to remove it from the sand. Once removed, it's now time to scrape away some of that plaster that you had on there. I usually start off using a wire brush to try to get a good look and make sure it filled out all the way. After scraping it, I'm now able to see the detail that came out on these Saberdarts. The lines going around the Saberdart really came out well. I think that the detail on this is excellent. That's what the plaster was for. Adding that plaster coating to it really helps with all the detail and has it capture it. If it was just buried in just the sand, you wouldn't get such detail as this. As I said in the beginning, I had to glue the tips on. Because of that, they didn't really conform to the Saberdart. So I used a couple files and I filed down the tips to make them look a little bit better. And now it's time to get a really good look at it and start to hit it with a wire wheel and get all of that junk off of it that was left over from that plaster. Yeah, it looks a lot better. But you know what would make it look even better? If I actually sanded it down using a Dremel tool. So I started out using this cylindrical disc, and it works, but it started to get gouges in it if I press a little bit too hard. So then I switched over to this flat disc, and this was much better. I should have just started out using this one. I actually have different grits with this, 120 and 240. Here they are completely sanded. Well, not completely. The fins are sanded. I couldn't really sand the cylinder in the center. That would be kind of difficult. So I think they look great. I did mess up on the foam pattern, building it in the foam. One of the fins is like a little bit further forward than the other ones. But if I didn't tell you guys, you probably would have never known. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you later.